All right, so for today, we are evaluating expressions. So your assignment was to do day 2 in the packets we gave you from yesterday. So what I'm going to do is the first 3 equations and expressions from that packet with you now. So number 1 says to evaluate the expression given the following initial conditions. So those are there in red. And then here's our first equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the given expression and we're going to replace the variables in that expression with the variables from up here. So up here it says t is equal to 3. So in my equation, I'm going to replace t with 3. And then I'm going to simplify from there on out. So the absolute value of 8 minus 3, so you complete the inside first. So we get 5. And then again, the absolute value of 5 is 5. So we have 5 plus 3, which is equal to 8. So the answer to number 1 is 8. Similarly, in example number 2, we have the absolute value of t minus 3 minus 7. So once again, we're going to take our equation and we're going to replace the variable with the value given. So we're going to place t with 3. So I get the absolute value of 3 minus 3 minus 7. And then we're going to take our absolute value of 3 minus 3, which is 0. And we get the absolute value of 0 minus 7. And the absolute value of 0 is 0, so we get 0 minus 7, which is negative 7. So the answer number 2 is negative 7. And then similarly, in example number 3, we have 5 plus the absolute value of 3 minus n. So this time, my variable is not t, but n. So we're going to take the n and replace it with the value given. So in this case, the value given is negative 3. And we know in mathematics, if we have a minus, it turns to a positive. So we get 5 plus the absolute value of 3 plus 3. So that's like 5 plus the absolute value of 6. And then the absolute value of 6 is 6, so 5 plus 6 is in fact 11. So that's how you do the first 3 examples from today's assignment. All of the remaining examples are very similar. So you're just going to go through and you're going to complete the remaining examples on that assignment. So you'll do 4, 5, 6. And then on the back, you'll do 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. What I want to do with you is an example from the back now because the back is a little bit more challenging. So go ahead, turn your notebook over, flip it, and let's look at the back. So on the back, where it's a little bit more tricky than those on the front, is that now we have multiple variables going in. So the absolute value of 2q plus r tells me that I'm going to replace the q with the value given in the table, which is negative 1.5, plus r, which is also given up above and is negative 3. And we're going to take the absolute value of that. So you get the absolute value. And in order to take the absolute value, you have to simplify the inside first. So 2 times negative 1.5 gives negative 3 plus negative 3 inside my absolute value. And a plus a negative 3 is really like a minus 3. So I get the absolute value of negative 3 minus 3, which gives the absolute value of negative 6. And the absolute value of any number is always positive, so we get 6. In number 8, we're going to do the same thing we previously did, where we replace all of the variables with the value from the table. So n, according to the table, is 2. So we're going to replace that with a 2. And v is negative 8. So we're going to replace this with a negative 8. And then we're going to combine like terms inside the absolute values. So the 10 minus is tagging along. And now we're going to follow order of operations. So 2 times 2 is 4. A positive negative 8 is really just like a minus 8. So we'll replace the plus minus with a negative. And then we keep the 10 minus tagged along. We keep simplifying inside our absolute values. So 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Now that our absolute value is down to a single term, we're going to simplify that term. So we get 10 minus. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4. And then our last step, 10 minus 4 is 6. Let's look at one more, taking those values from the givens and replacing them. So absolute value 3 times x, which is 4, minus 2 times w, which is 4.5. Close our absolute value and subtract q, which is negative 1.5. And now at this point, it's really just order of operations. So you do your multiplication inside the absolute value first. So 3 times 4 is 12. And 2 times 4.5 is 9. Close our absolute values. A minus turns to a positive because that's also multiplication. It's really like negative 1 times negative 1.5. So we're going to add 1.5 to that. And then absolute value of 12 minus 9 gives the absolute value of 3 plus 1.5. Absolute value of 3 is 3 plus 1.5. And you get 4.5. So I'm going to leave you to finish the remaining 6 questions, 3 from the front, 3 from the back, and that is your assignment for today. Tomorrow in class, we'll check day 1 and day 2 for points. So you want to make sure you have day 1 and day 2 done. So again, this is day 2. We already previously did day 1 yesterday in class, where we had you guys setting up and finding the answers to the solution sets on there and plotting your points, and then working backwards to get your equations. So we did a lot of this with you yesterday in class. So this side as well as this side should now be done. Bring those in, and tomorrow we'll check and go over everything. All right, have a great day.